Hello, everyone, to all our esteemed viewers. It is Yapologist episode something. And
15.
today, I have my friend. It is Yapologist episode 15. And today, I have my friend, Fair Steak.
Hello.
Today, we're going to be enjoying the new Horde mode that Warhammer Space Marine 2 just dropped. We are not sponsored by them,
No,
uh, legally speaking.
but
But, moving on. The main topic we're going to talk about today is why are older games better?
the newer games. Did you want me to finish your sentence?
I'm sorry, I just got card. I got card.
Yes.
Y'all don't understand. You don't
We're
get
gonna
it.
be talking about why older games not superior, but a little bit better. Sorry, one
Yeah, and
second.
like the things that made them better. And we're gonna try and be as not controlled by nostalgia as possible. But we will be talking a lot about some great games.
I think the main
Interesting.
factor of why a lot of people, and this might be, I know you do have some points, Jester, but the main thing, at least for me, when you're not just speaking about why, like nostalgia reason, is probably honestly the developers. A lot of the developers of older video games, they had a love for gaming, and we did speak about this. On one video, why AAA games suck is because they don't have that passion anymore. Not like the older developers did with creating different games. A great example is the Bungie developers. They were a bunch of just friends, gamers, nerds, whatever, and they just wanted to make something.
No, I wholeheartedly agree with that. I feel like part of it is just games today are bogged down by development, mainly by their bosses and their executives, and they want this and that. And the first major point I want to bring up is that games back then were more concerned about fun than anything else,
Yeah,
and it's a evident based in the mechanics of the games that they had back then. You can see with games like Halo, for example, even your more competitive games like
Call
COD,
of
Modern
Duty, Team
Warfare
Fortress
1,
2.
2, like, yeah, those were competitive, but the core gameplay mechanics were there for everybody to enjoy,
Yeah,
and it didn't have to be such a try-hard thing. In saying that, there's again nothing wrong with wanting to play games competitively. I am,
huge.
in my opinion, probably one of the biggest like advocates for competitive gaming because
At
it's just
least,
fucking
yeah.
incredible. But it goes to show you that above all, you need to have fun with games. I mean, you can play a game competitively, but if you ain't enjoying it, what's the point? You know?
I I do think that is a balance that has been lost. It wasn't such a main concern because I think this point was brought up in a different video I saw. The person said that competitive or even like making video games as big as they are now kind of is in fact to do with the fact of streaming a little bit. I mean, you know, let's say pre 2018, if you were to tell your parents, I'm going to become a streamer, I'm going to become a YouTuber, doing this, they would laugh at you. They would tell you, get a real fucking job. There wasn't money.
Unfortunately, some parents would even do that now. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
Ninja really helped develop this. And this isn't like, oh, I'm blaming Ninja for all the problems of modern day video games. No, it was gonna happen eventually, type shit. Because, but
Yeah.
like, I don't want to say because of his what he made streaming and, Fortnite and all this competitive play so popular. A lot of recent developers probably saw that. And, Epic was probably the first people to like say like, hey, there's some money in this. There's actual legitimate money in doing more than just building a game for people to play. So
It is kind of crazy that battle royales as a whole really up the streaming genre. I mean, you look at Warzone, Fortnite,
yeah,
PUBG. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. But not to stray too far from what we're talking about, that is important to mention. Like the difference between today's video games and ones back then.
yeah.
The most competitive you got was like FaZe Clan. Like, bro,
Back
like
in the
that was
day,
it.
yeah.
Um,
But they
and it
like
was
they
just nice to be
earned their
able to
way.
oh,
They like
I, I, I ain't saying they did it. And one thing I want to touch on is like in terms of development too, a huge thing was gaming back then was so creative. And do not get me wrong, there are very creative games out today, but it was creative in a way where they were forced to be, which is interesting because they were limited by the technology of their time. One of my favorite examples is Silent Hill 2, or Silent Hill in general. The reason why the fog exists was not a design choice at first. It was because they couldn't load the whole world in at like all at once. And so to help limit that, they would have fog like
yeah.
help load in the map, and you just wouldn't be able to see it. But like when you learn about that, like I don't know about you guys, but that's a mind blowing because the fog is the most memorable thing
Of
about Silent Hill,
yeah.
and it has the most impact within that series, and it all came to fruition because they couldn't figure out. Well, they did figure out, but because they couldn't load a whole world in at one time, and I find that incredible.
I mean, I know Black Ops 2 Zombies, they did that, on transit. But that was kind of like
Yeah,
they
really good
were
example.
they were trying to shoot for something way bigger than what they had, the technology. And so, same reason Silent Hill just was like using the fog. You see that in Black Ops 2 Zombies Transit. It just was like we can't load everything, so let's have this fog, let's have the lava, let's have these restrictions on the player. Which, whether or not you like Transit or you hate it or you think it's the greatest map or you just think it's dog shit, it's still like a core feature, and it was still something that like the developers thought about because, well,
Yeah,
I don't know if that's like truly 100% linked to passion, but it is still something that like they put care. They were wanting to share this huge map with all of these new upgrades, this and that, and they were limited. So it's just kind of like maybe it was like oh, they were trying to do something really nice for us, or maybe it just kind of was like whatever.
I actually definitely do think it is passion in its highest form because they're trying to make something work, and they found an alternative to make it work.
Yeah.
So I definitely think it was, and like mainly again back then, like Silent Hill, I don't think they were that worried about fucking too many deadlines or they gotta sell a million copies or anything like that. It was just an idea that they went forth with.
So you bring up another topic of deadlines and shit. It's such a key role now. Like gaming has become such a business enterprise that like you
Yeah.
know people have deadlines, people have quotas, people have all this, and it almost gets impossible to reach because it's just like more, 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 and more, and more, and more, and more. It just keeps fucking going, and it's just like, bro, hold the fuck up. Let me calm the fuck down. So yeah, it's a
On you were saying about deadlines?
yeah, it's become such a business enterprise, and that is kind of in case to do the fact of what of Ninja's popularity. Now, like I said, I'm not blaming Ninja for what he did. I think what he did is amazing. Not it kind of allowed us and so many other people to make content, right? I genuinely don't think this channel would be a thing if it wasn't as popular. If people weren't like, yes, YouTube was a thing that you could do back in the day. You could you had a lot of popular YouTubers, gamers, people that were playing different games.
Of course,
Markiplier,
Markiplier, Jacksepticeye.
Vanoss Crew, and there's a whole bunch of other names that we're probably forgetting, but that's some of the guys we watched. But I think it popularized it to a mainstream point where everybody wanted to do it. Now, like it is cool and it is nice because now you have a lot of great creative streamers, Queso, Kai Cenat,
I
all
love
these
queso.
all these great guys, Jinxie, Skittles is a guy I like. It just kind of had these positive and negative side effects on what the gaming industry is now. From competitive, we did kind of go on a bit of a tangent, but from the competitive side and the passion to make something is why a lot of older video games were just kind of better. You can't have something
Yeah.
successful if it isn't if you're not passionate about it, if you're not like putting in all your work, if you're not wanting to constantly improve, not wanting to constantly become better, to explore new ideas, do different things, it's not gonna be good. That's just the way life is. That's like a job.
In terms of deadlines, a great example I feel would be like Mind's Eye. That had a deadline, it didn't go well. But in terms of deadlines back in the day, I mean, look at Uncharted. They're pumping out an Uncharted every couple years, and pretty remarkable when you think about the size of that game and
Yeah.
how a little revolutionary it was. I feel like if it wasn't for Uncharted, you would have like the Survivor, the Lara Croft Tomb Raider series.
Or even
And a lot of other games
the
even have that similar format. I would even argue like The Last of Us to a certain
yeah.
extent, you know. But again, it's just those games back then, they were so innovative. I mean, Gears of War. Oh my god, I brother, I feel like Gears of War was proof that you could do something like Warhammer. You know.
Yeah.
All right, the main topic we're gonna be talking about. Sorry, it was a little stressful.
It was a little bit of a tangent we went on, but I do think it applies a lot.
It was important.
Yeah.
It was necessary. My bad. Now topic. First point, if you will, I want to bring up is majority of the games that released were complete on launch. You know, DLCs weren't.
Yeah, they weren't really
DLCs didn't
huge.
exist just to help put what should have been in the main game there eventually. Like that was genuine. We added a lot more new shit. It wasn't just a cover up of like, oh, our game is unfinished, and you could definitely tell that we needed more time to be cooking. And I think that's really important, especially with games like Little Big Planet, fucking the Batman Arkham series, the Lego series. Like there are no DLCs for that. DLCs weren't even that big of a thing until, honestly, Call of Duty maybe.
Well, no, not even. I wasn't say Halo, but like, I don't even think Halo. Can I get some help, by the way? I'm sorry. Oh my fucking god, these melee guys!
But yeah, so that's a huge talking point. Is majority of the games were complete on launch, and what that allows is that allows the consumer to be fully immersed and not have to deal with many bugs or issues, and they have a cohesive story present. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like there's so much that goes into having a complete game at launch, and especially for younger kids too, because a good amount of people playing the games were our age, maybe even a little younger, definitely a little older, and it was for everyone. And again, when you have a complete game on launch, for example, like a Donkey Kong game or Mario Kart or Spider-Man, right? Uh,
Yeah.
there was fun over monetary value or gain.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It
They weren't
was.
so concerned with we need 2 million copies.
Yeah.
Like straight up, we just want to. We
Play
have an
video
idea.
games.
We're gonna make this come to fruition.
Yeah. On that point of not having DLCs, a lot of I think gaming companies wanted to do, maybe back in the day was like create more games, right? So nowadays you have like all these DLCs for one game or all these updates that add new content, which it's cool and all, but like it can go one of many ways. Like where it can be the new content's shitty and it just breaks the fucking game, or the DLCs suck, or you have to wait forever for the DLCs, or this, that, and the third. And so there's a lot of pros and cons to that, right? The pro is you can only buy the game once, and then content just keeps getting added. But like I said, the con is like it could break the game. It could make it. It could take forever to come out. Back in the day of, you know, what they used to do back then, gaming developers was create one game, put all their work into it, and then just create another game. I mean, look at the Halo franchise. You have Halo, Halo 2, Halo 3, Halo Reach, ODST, all before fucking 2018. You fucking even drop in Halo 4. I forget when that comes out. All before 2018. That's a shit ton. Halo Wars, Halo Assault. I know that came out. Not really popular. Halo Wars is popular. But they just kept on adding all these. They were like, okay, we have one game. Let's just make another with new content. with new content, with new things to do, with new mechanics, with new this, that, and the third. It didn't matter. It was just new, 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 and you knew it was gonna be new because you were. It was a new game. So it is genuinely like I I genuinely miss a lot of gaming franchises when they would have multiple different games. Like it is still a common practice, but you don't see it as much. I mean, you look at Halo, Gears of War, Uncharted, Tomb Raider, Little Big Planet, Skylanders, fucking Call of Duty. Like all these games are like multi-franchise games, and there's probably a list of hundreds of more. But like these were the games that had something. They built something with the technology. They had sent it out. If it was good, look at that. You can do it again. You take that same concept and you make more. You create something different. You have more content. And there's no really drawback to that because if the fucking next game sucks, right? Well, then people still have the first game, right? So let's say for Halo, if they came out with 1, 2, and 3, and people hated Halo 3, I know this is just hypothetical. People love Halo 3. But if people hated Halo 3, guess what? They still have Halo 1 and 2 to go back and play. And then they can come out with more, maybe. And then Halo 4 comes out, or Reach, and it's like, oh, these are good. Halo Reach just kind of sucks. I know it's a hypothetical. Don't get mad at me. But that's,
Kill him.
I feel like genuinely, like, why a lot of the older games. What the f? That's my little tangent. There isn't a sort of stable faction. It isn't come out with the game, completed, all done. You see the feedback, you take it, and then you create something again. You know, nowadays there are games like that still do it. Space Marines. I mean, we just had Death Stranding 2 come out. There's a lot of games that do still
Which,
do
by
that.
the way, that shit looks so peak.
It does look good, I will say.
And real quick, you want to talk about creativity with games? Dude, there's like not a lot now. The ones that I think of automatically are Death Stranding 1 and 2, Clair Obscura Expedition 33, Baldur's Gate 3, and I don't know. Like, there's not many that come to mind. And out of all of those games, majority of them were complete games, finished on time, even though they had deadlines. But it just goes to show, like, it's still possible. It's just way harder nowadays.
I think.
And back then, it was just so peak. And obviously, I had to be there. Real quick, I just want to say this real quick. Some people might want to get into an argument of what do you define as better? Do you define graphics as better? Like if it's higher frame rate, better quality? Obviously, that's better, objectively speaking. But those older games still had a charm to them, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's very important to remember. Because obviously, you're going to have games that look way better now, and that's just a given. And they could even play and feel better. But that's because technology is getting better as, you know, we advance as humans. But along with that came the downsides, right, of deadlines, the monopolization of gaming. Not really that much fun. I mean, I'm sorry, man. I gotta say this. Call of Duty has been the same for the past 8-9 years, bro.
It has a little
Same
bit.
COD, different. Like, bro, Black Ops 6 released last year, and I was low-key hyped for it, and it was nice for about a month. And then I was over the new movement system. And then Black Ops 7 gets announced, and I'm like, okay, who cares? And then I was feeling that way with Modern Warfare 2 and 3, you know, the remakes. And that's what we're saying, like, there's no creativity. It's just turned to monetization, you know, with certain games have loot boxes, right? COD has their
CS:GO,
cosmetics.
Valorant.
CS:GO, like, you didn't have to worry about that shit. They didn't care about that back in the day.
I think
I'm talking like I'm 30 or some shit. But I think it's very important to just remember, a lot of these games didn't give a fuck about all that. And
okay,
all
real
that
quick,
shit is not a requirement.
I think they did care about cosmetics, but that shit came included. You would either have to unlock it. I mean, a good example,
Yeah.
which really just kind of popped into mind, was it was a Skate 3, I believe. It was one of the Skate games. I forget exactly. You could unlock Benjamin Franklin. You can unlock all these different skins, this and that. That was kind of like the charm
It's
of
fucking
anything.
wild. Benjamin Franklin
yeah.
for a what?
Um,
You can even go to Halo. Their helmet system, their armor system. You gotta unlock that
You
shit.
would have to earn that shit. Everybody knows The Halo Reach Skull, the Fire Skull guys. I've never personally was a huge multiplayer Halo fan, you know, back in the day at least. I know, but I know that shit. Oh my god, you guys earned that shit like tooth and nail. That shit was like fighting for your fucking life, and if you earned that shit, you were like
Yeah.
respected. So I definitely do see the fact that like cosmetics nowadays, you have to buy them, or you have to. I mean, example, Space Marines 2, they make it easier where you get all these. You can unlock it by like playing the game. You know, it is still a nice function. And you don't need to like have to buy in-game currency or buy a lot of DLCs for all these. Having cosmetics that you need to buy is not bad. Having an in-game currency is not bad as long as you execute it well. I think everything will be fine. You know.
I can agree.
So
Um,
a lot of games nowadays go through it very very poorly. Such a huge fan. Um, of a lot of different games. You know, I'm a huge Halo fan, and it's just like some of the shit that you got to do for in-game currency, or not in-game currency, cosmetics. It's like, I don't agree with it. I think that's a huge point.
I really don't either. It goes hand in hand with like the technology they use to make games is expensive, and that does play a part of it. And that was part of the charm of the games back then. I mean, like I said, I'm not gonna beat a dead horse, but I do want to reiterate, just because it doesn't run at 1080p or
700
1440,
fucking frames.
it doesn't mean it's bad or inherently bad. And if you can get a headache from that, I'm sorry, I feel bad for you. I guarantee you didn't get headaches back in the day if you were playing games, though. Guarantee.
I will say
that's just something we've gotten accustomed to.
my biggest gripe. I love having a PC. My biggest gripe with PC fans is that they bitch and complain when you can't run. They're some of the biggest bitches and complainers when their shit isn't like. And I know, yes, having a game run at 200 FPS must be really nice. I don't care for it though. You know, I'm a PC. I'm a console. Sorry, not PC, console. I'm a console kid at heart. 30 to 60 FPS on 1080p, just fine. I can do just fine. You can
Yeah.
enjoy it just as much. Just because I'm not fucking looking at this game. Like this game right now, Space Marine 2, it's running at a max 90 frames. I don't need unlimited frames. I don't need to work my PC that much. I mean, mainly my PC is a piece of shit. But I don't need to work it. It's doing just fine. This game looks fucking amazing at 90 frames. Yes, it is still nice, you know. Oh, I want to have all these different frames. That's cool for you. I'm so glad you like that. It is not a fucking requirement. It is a privilege, not a basic necessity.
Dead ass, bro.
It is a privilege.
Huge on the privilege.
You do not need that many fucking frames. I'm sorry. That's
You can tell we're very passionate, but
yeah.
it comes from the heart, man.
It
And you might be wondering, what does this have to do with video games in the past? It has everything to do with it.
the tech.
Video
yeah.
games don't just include the damn disc themselves, you know? It's what you play on,
I
what
never
you're actually
cared
holding on to.
when I was playing Halo 2, and the graphics weren't the best. It looked like it was some sort of, you know, shit show. I loved playing Halo 2 on the original graphics. I genuinely did. I had the best time of my life playing that shit on the original graphics. It felt different in a weird way.
In a good way, I'm sure, though.
Yeah, in a very much good way.
All right, next up, we're going to talk about game mechanics and how they were, for the most part, simple. You have your platformers, you know. Things that come to mind is like Rayman. Rayman was pretty huge for the 360
I
back
loved
in the day.
Rayman. I played very little. It was cool.
It was goated. I loved it. You have,
Little Big Planet.
I would say, Castle Crashers
Yeah.
would be a little bit of a platformer. Oh my god, dude. Little Meat, or what was it? Little Meat Boy? Or Meat Boy?
I don't think I played that.
You know what I'm talking about?
No.
It was a rage game where you played as a little ball of meat, and it was the worst thing I've ever played. Not in a bad way, just in the most rage-inducing game ever, dude.
You know, that reminds me of what was the one, the monkey and the ball? You know what I'm talking about?
I feel like I do. I don't know though.
Hey, you played that a lot at like arcades and shit. I don't know if you ever did. but it was like a monkey and a ball, and that was kind of simple. You know, you just had a. I know in like arcades like Chuck E. Cheese, I played it a lot, or I saw it a lot, but I loved playing that a little bit because that was like, game mechanic wise, they were all very unique, and or
Yeah.
they had a basic structure. You know, obviously a lot of people talk about the basic COD mechanics, that are heavily popularized and a lot of people use now. But you look at maybe Gears of War. I don't even know. I know that shit was complicated. Um, Halo.
And even then, it really wasn't. I can tell you right now, Halo is more complicated than Gears.
I've played very little Gears, so I can't really discuss. But I can tell you,
It's simple. Just hold B,
hold
and you're
me.
fine.
But like, I think the gaming mechanics, because you did say they were simple, but I think a lot of games also wanted to create their own uniqueness and like stand out from different games, right? They didn't want to have the same
Yeah.
COD interface, COD controls. They wanted to be different. So, which there's nothing wrong as long as your game mechanics work. I think that's fine. Here
But
and
yeah,
there.
you want to talk about like simple gaming mechanics and shit? Like again, Rayman, platformer. Little Meat Boy, platformer. Even Trials HD is a platformer, and they all had their own way of playing. Trials, you had a fucking motorcycle, dude. Rayman, you're like bouncing back and forth and shit. It was
I'm bouncing.
ridiculous. And Little Meat Boy, you're just suffering. You know, it was peak design, and
They,
all these were birthed from wanting to be unique in their own thing, and I do respect that. And that is definitely a huge reason why we've gotten so complicated over the decades. Um, but it's a little unfortunate, because it kind of loses its novelty a little bit. It becomes a little superficial at a certain point.
I love the fact that a lot of games nowadays want to make their gaming simple for anybody because as much shit as we give nowadays games nowadays, and say that games back in the day were better. Games nowadays are a lot more open to anybody. Anybody can start playing them. Anybody can, pick up fucking Halo. A whole assortment of different games because of how simple the mechanics are now. So I will say I'll give new games credit for that, for wanting to keep all of their games simple. Very much like it was a uniqueness back in the day to have your own sort of gaming mechanics be different from everyone else.
Oh my god, a great example is the game we're playing now. It is simplistic in its own nature. And I feel like that's why a lot of people kind of stopped playing it, is because it was an experience to be had when it first came out.
Yeah.
This wasn't a game you just got on to pump hours and, grind it out. I mean, you obviously could with the cosmetic system, but that's not the point of this game. The point of this game is the experience to be had, and that is the experience we're having right now. And it's fun,
I
and it
can
makes me want to keep playing.
I can tell you right now, metal music like fucking Slipknot, A7X, probably Breaking Benjamin has been blasting the entire time we've been playing, and I've been just having the time of my life. That's why I'm not gonna lie. There's some parts where I'm like really fucking passionate, or I sound like I'm gonna kill somebody. So
Heck yeah, dude. Real quick, y'all want to talk about DLC real quick? Oh my god. Controversial take. COD Ghost had some of the best Call of Duty DLC, purely because of Michael Myers and the Predator. As a child, that was peak. Being able to play as Michael and running around killing people with an axe. Like, dude,
okay,
ridiculous.
counter argument. What is so wrong with people playing as Michael Myers now as an operator in Call of Duty Black Ops 6?
So, yes, I'm going to hit you with there's a time and a place. So the reason why I liked it with Call of Duty Ghost is because you could only play as Michael on one map, and you had to get like a 15 kill streak or whatever.
Oh.
Like, it wasn't easy. And it came in a care package. So it wasn't even a guarantee that when you got it, you would be able to call it in and get it. There's a difference between having that and just a cosmetic of you running around as Michael, fucking 24/7, slide canceling on people.
Yeah.
Why a
Okay.
demon, like that's the difference. Like,
I
there's a time and a place.
okay. That is respectable. Okay. Little
And
cut.
sure, it's cool, but like,
Sorry. Can
bro,
I?
what are we doing? All right, so back to the video at hand. Sorry, this is crazy.
We're having fun, guys.
A huge topic that needs to be discussed is how utterly superior older gaming was in terms of having co-op, couch co-op. Guys, the golden age is gone for couch co-op. Bring in the days where you got to spend $500 on a console just to spend another 70 or 80 on a video game just so you can be able to play with friends in the same room. It is ridiculous now. Um, Back then, you could load up forward player Left 4 Dead, and it was just peak.
Two pair.
Call of Duty Zombies, Black Ops 1
Yeah.
had 2 player, and then Black Ops 2 had 4,
Two
right?
player fucking
Halo, you could even co-op the campaign and or multiplayer. Like, dude, what happened to that? It is still here. Don't get me wrong, but it is horribly optimized and barely available.
Sorry. I think the main I don't want to say the main issue, but the main thing about that was the modernization of the internet. Like, genuinely, the internet gave a lot of people more access, because I'm not gonna lie, I didn't have the internet when I was young. I didn't. So, and I know, like, yes, the internet did exist back in the day. There was obviously multiplayer, but it wasn't accessible to everybody. I did not have the internet. I did, but like, I was using my parents' fucking hotspot, and there was only a certain amount of time we could use it. Like,
yeah.
A good example was Titanfall. Titanfall, the first one, was one of my favorite games to play. I adore that game. I love that game. I think it is one of the most huge modernization to gaming industry as a whole. Only thing is, it was strictly multiplayer, so I was barely able to play it at all, if I even could. Can I get some out, by the way?
I am.
But when I did, it was probably some of the greatest things I've ever played. Like, I know a lot of people have a lot of fond memories of the COD lobbies back in the day. I know a lot of people love to talk about that. I never had that experience. I had couch co-op like a bitch, dude. I remember playing games with my siblings all the time. Like, I tell you, I played Halo with my siblings, Minecraft, Skylanders, Super Smash Bros, fucking any Wii game or basic Xbox game, I would play with my siblings, because that's just kind of how it was. And couch co-op allowed me and my siblings to play that. Granted, with the Wii, it was a little bit different, I guess. But, it's still that core function of playing there with someone. So,
yeah, it was irreplaceable, dude. Growing up, I'd go visit my cousins a lot, and couch co-op was the best thing out. To this day, it's some of the best memories I've ever had. Like, it's just, you just had to be there. I hate to say it, but that's just how it is.
It genuinely was one of the a good. It was something the developers knew that a lot of gamers would love, because, like I said, the internet wasn't popularized, and so you had to have some sort of substance of, like, what am I gonna do? How are we gonna get people to want to play our game with friends, family, cousins, parents? It didn't matter. How are we gonna get them to want to play our game and stay playing? Couch co-op was there. So I know it sounds like it was the way it brought people together. I genuinely think that, like, it was so successful because of how it brought everybody together.
Real quick, something huge we got to talk about is the content that was available for gaming as well. I mean, the amount of different side modes you had for a game.
Yeah.
Halo, revolutionary in my opinion, with their sandbox system.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy for the 360, dude.
Halo, I know a lot of people, the peak for them was the Halo 3 and Halo Reach sandbox. Maybe Halo 3. It really just kind of gave you the ultimate freedom to do whatever you want. I know a lot of people love the customary games, the, like, going through and I just saw fucking Katie get sniped. Holy shit. It was genuinely, it was something, it gave the fans something to create. And they still have that. Yes, I'm not denying that, mods. It's just in a different version. It's in mods now, you know? A lot of people love to
Yeah.
mod. A lot of people love to create different things, do this. And that's all really nice. It genuinely is. I love mods. I'm not gonna lie. I think they're funny as shit. I do also think having a sandbox mode or having more freedom for the person themselves to create without having to have, I don't want to be that guy, but a fucking some sort of degree or knowledge in gaming is also cool. But I do genuinely think having a sandbox is a lot easier for anybody to create. You could probably anybody can create anything, and it invigorates that creative mind for anybody. You know, like I wanna. It brought that passion. I have no doubt. I'm getting a little confused with my words, but I have no doubt. What I want to say is that
He's still with us, guys. Don't worry.
I have no doubt it inspired a lot of people to want to create, wanted to mod, wanting to um explore these options, you know? Like I have no doubt if you were probably a sandboxer when you were young, you probably loved it and you
Hey, Gary's mod was made for you.
yeah,
You know, like, and that is such an old game. It
but
just goes to show you, like, fun is king, man. We need fun. I love competitive games, and I'm all here for it, and I do have fun playing it. But even us competitive people, you know, I'm gonna speak on our behalf. I think we need to learn how to chill the fuck out sometimes, and just learn to enjoy things.
I think a lot of people don't. This is gonna sound dumb, but I don't think a lot of people know how to have fun anymore. And you're like, oh, what do you mean? I have plenty of fun. I love playing Siege and fucking around with my buddies online. That's cool. You know, I'm so glad you have fun on Siege, Call of Duty, all these games where you kind of have that freedom to be fun and competitive at the same time. But I don't think it's the same fun of sitting of like how some games did it back in the day. I'm being so genuine. Playing Skylanders Adventures Giants with my fucking siblings was so fun. Just it genuinely was like a new world and it invigorated like I don't know. There was just it's just it's something different about it. You know, there's nothing wrong with having fun nowadays. It was just something different compared to now. And I'm so glad, you know, people nowadays have that. I don't want to say have the smart to actually know how to how to have fun, but know when to have fun and when to be competitive, and that you can have fun on competitive games.
I think that kind of speaks to, you know, learning to have fun, and
Yeah.
how it was important to have, you know, all this different side content. You know, I'll never forget MK9. It was a huge game for me growing up, and the amount of side content in that game was incredible. You had 2v2s, online or co-op, you know, split screen. Even though it
Yeah.
wasn't split screen, but that's just to give you an idea of how it would work. Um, you know, you had the Crypt, uh, King of the Hills. Cool, like, fun game mode where it was just randomizers were put on while fighting. It was incredible, you know?
Yeah.
I think it's just important for us to remember where we come from in terms of gaming. Truly just take a second to sit back and be like, yeah, you know, we we have it good now, but we kind of lost ourselves along the way a little bit.
Modern day gaming, in my opinion, is awesome. It's amazing. You have so many different games. You have such great ways to connect with a lot of different people around the world. I have made friends. I've had amazing conversations with people I've met online and fond memories of playing, you know, with my buddies online. But I do genuinely think there is that disconnect still of modern day games and games back in the day. Whether it be the management and how people run it, whether it be the content and what's being put out, whether it be the excessive bullshit nature of like this is fucking expensive, not gonna lie. You know, it doesn't matter. It's a multitude of different things, and you can have pros and cons, and you know, all this other shit. And you can argue it for hours and hours and hours and decades. I feel like that's a little bit excessive. Hours and days, you know, on end. But at the end of the day, but no, there's that. It's a disconnect, and I'm not just gonna sit here and be like, do not play, boycott modern day games. No, Still play the games you love. Support the ones you genuinely feel like need support. But voice your concern. This has been a main topic for this entire channel since its creation, is voicing our concern about anything. Whether it be that movies nowadays suck, remakes suck, music fucking sucks. Everybody fucking hates the fact that I don't know, Nirvana fans nowadays are a bunch of fucking groupies. It doesn't matter. It's a concern. If you think it's a concern and you can make a valid argument for it, talk about it. Go online. You know, there's nothing wrong with argument for the sake of argument, but there's something wrong for argument for the sake of I want to be popular, and I think the only way to be popular is to create a bunch of argument videos and show that I'm a superior rage baiter or some bullshit like that. You know? There's nothing wrong with talking to people and voicing your concern and being like, yeah, I don't like gaming nowadays, and these are the reasons why. There's nothing wrong with that. There's something wrong with when people start to argue and start to push like I know more. I know this. You don't know shit. And when
But I do know more. No, I'm sure.
it's ultimately egos, and I know, you know, I might be a hypocrite in saying this. I do get an ego sometimes, but I know that if someone genuinely wants to have a discussion with me and talk about something I like, I will genuinely do that. I will give you the time and I will do it. Don't waste my fucking time and try to rage me and try to make some bullshit. That's the shit I hate. I love having arguments for the sake of arguments, not arguments for the sake of I want to make content, and the only way I know how to make content is I'm repeating myself at this point, you know? But that was a little tangent I went on. But I love games. I love games. I love what they bring. I love everything that you can do with games nowadays. And I think that companies need to have that passion again. Will that happen? I don't know. Is video games doomed forever? Maybe. Is GTA 6 ever going to come out? Hopefully.
I don't know.
Why was I shooting the bombs? At the end of the day, I want people to love games again. I want people to love making shit, you know? Making genuinely new content that adds or is unique or is something different. I'm not saying you have to make this brand new idea that no one's ever heard of, you know? No, you don't have to do that. This entire channel is not something new. It is having a podcast and people talking. I have no doubt there's hundreds of millions of things. It's the most organic idea. But it's different in the sake of that we're not just talking about world topics or bringing a different guest online and talking with them about, I don't know, this, that, and the third. It's different because we're playing video games. Real quick, if you are watching our videos for gameplay, for this, for that, for some sort of, oh, we got elite gameplay, please don't. Our this entire video, and I'm reiterating this because I feel like not everybody gets this, which is fine. Our entire channel is for someone to put it on while they're working. You don't need to focus on the gameplay. The gameplay is probably shit 95% of the times, I'm gonna be honest. But it's what we're saying.
For his perspective, not mine.
Fuck you. You don't even record. But it is genuinely not there for top tier gameplay. That's not what we're trying to shoot. We're trying to have you listen and create arguments, you know? So
best way to think about this is like a podcast that's a little more interactive, if you will.
yeah, channel is genuinely not something that we're trying to put top tier gameplay on. I can tell you that. I am not a top tier gamer. I'm not the next Ninja or Shaiko or whatever. I am just a dude who likes to make videos and talk with his buddy about some bullshit. So
We wouldn't have it any other way.
yeah, and that's what I'm talking about. You don't have to be the same boring shit or doing the same shit. Create something unique. Take something original. Put your own little taste on it. Put your own little fucking twist on it. You know, make it yourself. Make it unique to you. Not to anybody else. Not to fucking... Don't be the next Kai Cenat. Don't be the next fucking Markiplier or whatever. You know, take inspiration off them. I'm not saying that. But don't make your entire fucking channel to be some sort of clone of them. Just because they get a lot of views and you think that's just such an easy way to get views is I'm gonna be straight up a bitch made way to think. Genuinely, you genuinely just want You just blah, blah, blah. You genuinely want to make videos for the money and not for the love. You will never succeed. You might. I might be proven wrong. Which, hey, you know what? If you want to prove me wrong and that's your inspiration, do that then. But I genuinely don't think people will succeed like that. This divulged into
Yeah,
a
they
whole nother
get.
thing. Sorry.
It's all about the money until they got to do the work, you know. Backwards compatibility is what I mean.
Oh, okay.
Like, it's a great idea, but it doesn't really. Really, Xbox is the only one that does it well, in my opinion. And I love PlayStation, but dude, they can't get shit.
Yeah.
They ain't worth a damn. Like, in terms of backwards compatibility. And like with Xbox, you're able to put a disc in on your Xbox Series X and from the 360 and be able to play off of that.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. That's 2 generations ago. You know? And with PlayStation, you can only do that with PlayStation 4 games. You know, not PlayStation 3.
Or
Um,
PlayStation 2.
yeah,
'Cause
like
you can
it's unfortunate.
you can even put some original Xbox games in the Series X. You know, it's not a lot. It's not probably some of your favorites, but it's still there. You know. I do think that is a good thing. You know, people wanting to conserve these older games. I know a lot of people, especially even older online games. I know a lot of people when a lot of older games die out and they kind of just like their multiplayer servers are dead or whatever. A lot of people continue to play them through the community, and I think that's amazing. I love that. You know,
I do as well.
I think it's genuine. I know people now still play Titanfall online. You know, I recently bought a disc for it, but I can't play online because the servers are shut down. At least on Xbox. But I know on PC, you can still do that. So, and that to me is
You
amazing.
know, and
And
that's why I kind of love Battlefield. Quick side tangent, because yeah, they still pay for their servers to be up, but they also allow other people to pay for it, and that helps a lot with keeping the game alive.
yeah,
You know, it might suck that there's only a couple lobbies, but bro, the fact I could still go back on Battlefield 4, which came out in 2013, and have a full lobby, like that's awesome. You know?
yeah, it is genuinely one of those things where and this is gonna turn into a little bit of a side tangent, but have you heard of Stop Killing Games?
I did, but I don't know what it's about. I
So
saw Penguins post a vid.
yes, I did too. I just recently found that out. Stop Killing Games is a movement for gaming companies to not just completely shut down a game. When you buy a game, you own it for life, right? We all know that.
Oh
Stop
yeah,
Killing
that
Games
stuff.
wants to make it that any online multiplayer game or whatever has the option for people to play even after the days are gone. You know, it dies. It like it's not as popular anymore, which is perfectly fine. There's an execution on the big guy, by the way. That's perfectly fine. And I do understand that all games are not successful. Let's take Concord for a second. I mean, look how fucking long that game lasted.
No, but I need Concord.
Yeah. Eventually, games will die out. That's just the nature of everything. Um, but I do genuinely think there needs to be like if people love these games so much, why aren't these game developers allowing these people to continue to play them? Like whether or not for like multiplayer, that's just like giving the community the like capability to run their own servers. I forget the exact wording. That's cool. Do that then. Give it to the community so they can run it, and the next thing you know, it becomes their job. But what Stop Killing Games just wants to do is to allow people to continue having content after games life is done. It's not saying to change the entire game, and I might be a little bit not misconstruing, but like not saying word for word what they do. If you do want to look it up, look it up. Go look at Most Critical's most recent video. He did a great video about it, and there's a lot
Like
more
a
to it,
moisty.
drama, but I'm not gonna talk about it. Um, it's a genuinely good cause for gamers to want to continue playing games, and kind of goes a little bit deeper than that. Like I said, if you wanna look it up and wanna like learn more
I
about it,
I definitely will,
yeah.
because I'm on board with it.
So yeah, like I said, it is a genuinely good process to allow games to continue, allow gamers to keep playing games because a lot of gaming companies nowadays, Ubisoft, likes to just cut a game when it's dead. They like to just take it, and even if you paid for it, no, who cares? You don't get it anymore, and that's kind of a shitty thing. Anyway, people want these games to continue to lasting and to, you know, exist, and that's
Actually, keep what
what's
they bought.
keep what they bought, and that's
It's a
what's
great
got
idea.
killing
I love
games
this
too.
movement,
I will
and
say,
this is why I've
so
disc is the way to go, man. Still,
that's true. But I will say it is a thing in the EU. It's not very popular. It's a movement focused on the EU side of things because they have certain laws or whatever. I don't know about the Americans, um, the American side of things, but it's a EU thing. I just want to make that clear too, so people don't. If you're an American, you're like, oh, I agree with that. It's like, oh, what the fuck? I thought this was for America. It's like, oh, yeah, I don't want to give you guys the wrong info. That's the word. I couldn't think of words.
it could reach America though.
It could, if they get a good movement and they make a good case, we could see this thing in America potentially and allow for American games. I think it's more for the companies and not the like location. 'Cause Ubisoft is a French-based
Yeah.
location. Do you got anything else?
No, I think we got the point across.
I sure hope we did. I sure hope. I do genuinely hope you guys take something out of this, whether it's that Jester and Unfair Steak are two crazy fucking psychopaths that like to fucking rant and bitch about shit.
Nah, never.
But no, like genuinely, I do genuinely hope you guys get something out of this. New information, new perspective, maybe. Whatever it is. I think the job at the end of the day, I'll be satisfied if someone goes, wow, I didn't know something about this, or maybe I just got a new perspective about something. That's what my hope is. So, will it always happen? No, but that's why we try every day.
That's what we aim for.
Yeah. So as we sit here and battle, I've been Unfair Steak, y'all. Hope you have.
I've been that one guy.
Okay, buddy. Unfair Steak here,
My
y'all.
game's dying.
I hope y'all
I'm at 20 frames right now.
okay. Hope y'all have a good day. Stay passionate as always. Every day's a new day, okay? Don't let the chaos
Don't let the demons
the
get
chaos
you.
gods get you. Keep fighting. I am stuck in a fucking wall. Oh my god. I might be
Remember,
fucked.
we still need blood for the blood god. Don't give up.
I hope y'all take care, y'all. You know me. I mean, got I'm fucking stuck here, so this is a little awkward for me, alright? You got anything else, Chester?
Y'all have a great day, great weekend, great life, and let us know what you think about older video games, or if you truly believe that newer ones are better and we're just being bitches and stuck in the past. That is completely valid, but I need to know. So
If you're gonna argue,
without,
have a good argument.
yeah, don't
That's
just
what
call
I
me
say.
bitch. Call me bitch, because then I'll be sad.
He gets sad a
At least have a
lot.
good reason behind it. But yes, thank you for watching. If you made it this far, you're the best. You're the reason why we do this.
Every day.
And have a good day.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do. Can you bring a guy over here so I can execute him? Well, okay, what
Ooh,
the
that's
fuck? Why
smart,
do you
actually.
teleport to me? I'm genuinely stuck, dude. This isn't even funny.
I can't believe our run is cooked because of this.
Don't get it.